This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. I'm at the Haymaker Gym with me. I've got a very elusive, I called you earlier on, David Haye.
Yeah, I've been known as I've been elusive my whole career.
Yeah. To be honest, it wasn't too hard for me to get hold of you. So
Because I always like you to get hold of me.
Yeah.
You know, in a non sort of
Yeah.
gay way. You know.
Non sort of gay way. But no, it was been a while since I've caught up with you. Last time I actually saw you was in Vegas.
Outside Spearmint Rhino, if memory serves.
100% not outside Spearmint Rhino. It's outside the gym.
Okay. Yeah, the gym moves outside the gym.
The gym.
At 4 a.m. Yeah.
Night session.
It happens.
Definitely not a Spearmint Rhino because my girlfriend's watching this.
Oh, no, sorry. I mean, we was eating spearmint chewing gum. That's what it was. Got mixed up.
Thank you very much. General question, but how you been and what's been happening?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. Chill, train every day, feeling good, feeling healthy. Looking forward to making some kind of announcement that I've been holding back from doing because I don't want to start making announcements and having to change them. So I'd want to make sure everything's 100% exactly how it needs to be before I start talking loads of stuff. As I've said a lot of stuff in the past that hasn't quite come to fruition. So I need to make sure all my ducks are in a row before I start making big announcements. So up until I have something concrete, I'll say nothing. Let's talk about something else other than me then.
I just want to say one thing. I don't want to pester you at all, but boxing misses you. I don't mean this in a homosexual way as well, but boxing, the heavyweight division, misses David Haye. And I've had this for literally since that interview because everyone was kind of waiting for something, but it just generally misses you. So,
I genuinely miss being in the heavyweight scene. I'm out of it at the moment. My heart's in it, but physically, I'm physically out of it. I'm not in any of the ratings. I have a nice fan base who support me, and I'd like to say thank you. Even though I haven't been in there knocking people out and doing anything recently, I know you're there patiently waiting. So I do genuinely appreciate the love that I get from Twitter and Instagram and all that. Like everyone sending me nice emails and whatnot. I'll be back, believe me. I'll be bigger, better than ever. It's taking a little longer than anticipated, but when it happens, everybody will forget about this little blip, this little couple years out. And once I get back in there, once I start doing what I do best, people then. George Foreman had 10 years out, and he came back and won the title. When he was in there knocking people out, people weren't complaining that he'd been out of the ring for 10 years. They were just happy to have him back. So hopefully that'll be the case for me.
Have you been bored?
No, I've been the opposite to bored. I've been crazy busy, non-stop. I've been actually more busy than I've ever been at any stage in my life. But it's good. I like being busy. I like having lots of things to do. I like staying mentally stimulated. So lots of good things going on that people will hear about in months and years to come. But exciting times for me. Not so much for the David Haye fans out there because not much is happening for them. But behind the scenes, big things are moving, big things are shaking, and looking forward to getting back to doing what I do best. Which is knocking people out and having fun.
Okay. That's enough of Mr. David Haye. Okay, that's more than I could have wished for, so thank you. David, heavyweight scene, was talking the last sort of 3 years since Klitschko's obviously retired. Well, Vitaly Klitschko's retired. He's left the door open there for some of the other guys to compete, and we've had 2 champions for the WBC since then. Stavern, obviously, then Wilder beat Stavern, an old sparring partner of yours. You must be pleased for him.
I'd never consider him a sparring partner. He's not a sparring partner. He never was my sparring partner. He was a very good heavyweight who was humble and respectful enough to come to England as an unbeaten heavyweight and help me out. So it wasn't like, you're my sparring partner yet. No, he wasn't like that. A lot of people I've heard him referred to as my sparring partner. He was never my sparring partner. He came and helped me in preparation for Klitschko and Fury. And he gave me some great rounds, some great work, and we people who were there watching it were like eyes open because we were both going for it. Every round, every single time, we were both going for the knockout, and it was good action. Everyone was there with I got tapes of it. It's some real good entertainment, way better than any Klitschko rounds you'd see fighting anyone. We were both going for it, and it was really good. And I'm so pleased that he's gone on and won that title. So happy for him. because I think that's probably the best thing that's happened in the heavyweight division for a few years now. An American, a genuine American, big guy, looks the part, is in shape, can punch, knockouts. This is what the heavyweight division has been missing, you know. And I think we've got that now with Wilder. I hope Wilder is with Al Heyman, so he's got a good team around him. You know, I definitely believe if they keep him on the path they've got him on, you know, I'd love to see him in there against Ariola or some other guys who comes to fight, so he can just keep knocking guys out, fight on national television in America. He's going to become a big brand in his own right. You know, he's just started now. I was at his fight live in Vegas when he fought Stavern. Great performance. He'd never been past 4 rounds going into that fight. But he went in there. I was unsure. You know, we never sparred, I don't think, any more than 4 or 5 rounds at any one time. So it's unknown what happens when he goes past this. You know, I didn't know whether he'd blow himself out. He held it together. He won the fight clearly on points and completely shut Stavern out, who's a good fighter in his own right. So for me, that was really good to see. So for me coming back, having someone like a big American who would probably be a favourite if I was to fight him, I've always wanted that. I've always wanted the big American. I've had these big Russians and Germans and Ukrainians to fight. I've never had the Americans. I've never had the Holyfield or the Riddick Bowe or the Mike Tyson. You know, the guys who the Americans really get behind to go and fight. Unfortunately, even as a cruiserweight, I had to go to France to fight Mormex. I've never had that big, or the unification fight with Macronelli. That was a UK thing. So it's really nice to see the Americans now on the map with a genuine WBC heavyweight champion. So I think that's the best thing that's happened in the heavyweight division. And when I do start knocking people out and getting back in there, what a fantastic route for me to go down. You know, to beat someone like Deontay Wilder, who's never been beaten before. You know, he's never been in bad trouble before. So that for me is a nice target. I like to have goals up here. I like to go for it. And obviously, once I've beaten him, I'll then go back to the Vladimir and try and have a unification fight. In my mind, that would be the ultimate plan, is to win the WBC title and unify against Klitschko for all of the belts. So big plan. No, it's not something that's going to happen in the next year. But for me, I'm healthy. I look after myself. And I believe this next part of my boxing career will be the most exciting and the best.
Can you see that WBC title changing hands a few times over the next couple of years?
No, I don't think anyone's taken it off Wilder. I don't think there's anybody good enough in the world to take it off Wilder, other than maybe a Klitschko, maybe. But I don't see Klitschko going over to America and fighting Wilder. I don't see that fight happening. Wilder doesn't need Klitschko. Klitschko needs Wilder. Why does Wilder need to fight Klitschko? No one in America knows who Klitschko is. So Wilder's the man. Wilder's the champion. People need to come at him. People need to come and fight Wilder now. Wilder's in control. He's the main man out there, and I believe, will become a bigger draw than Klitschko is. In America, Vladimir Klitschko doesn't do very, very good business. He only does it when he's fighting an American, like he's fighting Jennings next, so it's getting a little bit of traction. But other than that, no one's really interested in Klitschko in America.
The British heavyweight scene currently, who's the closest? Obviously, on paper, it's Tyson Fury. He's mandatory for Klitschko's title, but we've got the emergence of Anthony Joshua. David Price is slowly but surely getting back into the swing of things. But for you, who will become first world champion out of the current crop of British fighters?
Out of Fury, David Price, Chisora, and who else is out there?
You've got Dillian White as well, who's
Dylan White, Anthony Joshua. I believe out of that bunch, I believe who's got the best chance of winning a world title first, I'll probably say Anthony Joshua. I think physically he has everything in place. He's been matched beautifully by Matchroom. They've done a great job of him. I don't think Fury has a chance against Vladimir in any way, shape or form. David Price would need to show me something. You'd have to get back in there with Thompson and battle those demons and show that if you can't beat Tony Thompson, then you can't be thinking about Vladimir Klitschko. Doesn't equate. So he physically can do it. He's big and he can punch. He has all the attributes to physically do it, but mentally he needs to prove he can do it at a high level. He hasn't proven that to me yet. Dylan White, he's been out for a little while. Watched him the other night live, boxed fantastically well. He's someone who's just bubbling under the surface. He hasn't had the recognition that Anthony Joshua's had. Obviously, Anthony Joshua's Olympic champion, and he's had the big fanfare. But he's beaten Anthony Joshua. Back in the amateurs, amateurs don't really mean much, but technically he's got a win over Anthony Joshua. So I'd like to see that. That'd be a good fight. Maybe after the fight against Johnson, Kevin Kingpin Johnson, it'll be a good fight to match these two guys together. I'd see that as like a British title level fight. I think that'll make a good fight. I'm sure Dylan White would love that, and Anthony Joshua, I'm sure, would like the opportunity to get a revenge over. I did it as a professional. I got beaten as an amateur against Jacob Fragomeni, and then as a professional we fought each other. I fought him when he was 21-0. As a professional, I knocked him out. So although I got beat as an amateur, I did it again as a professional and knocked him out. So I think, Anthony Joshua and Dylan White. I think that's a nice match. I think it's a really nice match. Both fighters unbeaten. Both fighters good physical condition. They're both on the up. They're both hungry. I'd say, yeah, it makes a fantastic. What I wouldn't want to see is them avoid each other and say, "Oh, we're going to fight for world titles in the future." That never happens. I think while it's fresh, I think it's a good fight for everybody.
There's no love lost there between the pair of them either. There's been a bit of Twitter.
That's what we need. Maybe fan the flame a little. Maybe give it 2 or 3 fights. Fan the flame. Yeah. Build it up to a little bit more of a, because I remember. As an amateur, as a young professional, there was beef between different fighters here and there. We put them off. It never quite happened. So maybe after Johnson, who else could Joshua fight? After Johnson, that's kind of a fringe. That's kind of the gate. He's kind of the gatekeeper.
Johnson's never been stopped either, has he? So
that'd be nice if he was be able to stop him. That'd be a nice statement, a real nice. The same sort of statement I made when I fought Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora was coming off a 12-round loss. Points decision to Vitaly Klitschko. So I wanted to make a statement. I thought, okay, you went 12 rounds with Vitaly Klitschko. Everybody believes that Derek Chisora's got a great chin. So I guarantee a 5-round knockout. I said he won't go past 5 rounds. I told everyone, press, media, 5 rounds maximum. Go back and listen to some interviews, 5 rounds. I said, he ain't going past 5 rounds. And he didn't go past 5 rounds. So although I didn't get too much accolade from it, it wasn't a world title fight. It was a domestic little fight. I wanted to prove something, how good I wanted. I wanted to put some pressure on myself. Say 5 rounds. If it went past 5 rounds, I'd have felt disappointed. If I'd have won on points, I said it before. If I won the fight against Derek Chisora on points, I'd have been gutted. If I'd have won every round on points, I'd have been gutted. It felt like I'd have lost. I had to get him out there in 5 rounds, and I did it. Maybe this is what I like about Anthony Joshua. He's saying he's going to knock out Kevin Johnson. I'm like, okay, I like that. He's putting a little bit of pressure on himself. Some people might say, oh, you don't need that pressure. I think pressure is a good thing. I think setting standards for yourself is good. Just because someone hasn't been knocked out by anybody else, why should that reflect anything on Anthony Joshua? Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. He believes in his heart he's going to be world champion. So why can't he knock this guy out? I like his mindset. That's why I believe he's going to go the whole way. Because he's got that single-mindedness to set goals for himself. He doesn't really have to. He could just say, okay, I'll be happy with for a win. But no, he wants to do a job. And that's what I like to see.
Okay. An interesting situation that's developed over the last few months is obviously the super middleweight division.
Very exciting.
Domestically.
Yeah.
We're in a position now where obviously James DeGale will fight Andre Dirrell in America. Date and venue to be confirmed, and George Groves at some point this year will get his shot against the brother Anthony Dirrell. Carl Froch obviously vacated that IBF title to allow James to not allow him to fight for it, but allowing him to fight for it, shall we say? But obviously Paul Smith recently was in Germany, suffered a defeat to Abraham.
I think it's Britain's best weight division, super middleweight division. It's always had a nice mystique about it, the super middleweight division in Britain. We've had so many super middleweight champions over the years. It's, from Robin Reed, Glenn Catley, to, Eubank was a super middleweight champion. Ben, some great champions over the years. It just seems like that's our weight division. Maybe British fighters are naturally 12 stone. I think that's just that's our weight division. And I like the fact that DeGale and Groves fought each other a few years back, in 2011 or whenever it was, Very close fight. George got the nod. I thought it was a great fight. Fantastic technical fight. Years later, here they are, both potential world champions. They both from the cusp of winning genuine world titles. And De Gale has got a very tough fight. Andre Durrell, very slick boxer. We showed it against Carl Froch. A lot of people said it was a very close fight against Carl Froch. It was a pick 'em type of a decision. People thought he got a bit of a hometown decision. I was there. Tough fight, hard fight. I thought Carl did enough to get the nod. So did the judges. But he's a very, very good fighter. Very good fighter. De Gale has got his hands full. But then again, De Gale has shown that he's probably one of the most improved super middleweights in the country. Very, very, very good. His last fight out, I was there, I watched it live. I was very impressed. He fought a young guy who came over, and I was hearing that this guy was tipped to beat De Gale. This guy was, apparently being overlooked, but De Gale shut this guy down and knocked him clean out. It was a beautiful performance. Great fight. George has proven to be, very good on the highest level. First fight against Carl Froch, controversial decision, hurt Carl Froch, who's arguably the second best super middleweight in the world, beyond any question, obviously behind Andre Ward. So he's proven that he's up there in world class. He obviously got beat in his second fight by stoppage, but that's against 100% Carl Froch. The guy that he's fighting, Anthony Durrell, very good fighter. I was actually in George's corner in Miami when these two guys sparred with each other, when Grover sparred Anthony and Andre Durrell. He sparred them both on the same day. He did, I think, 4 rounds with Andre Durrell, then 4 rounds of Anthony Durrell. So he's been in there. He knows both of these fighters, and he held himself amazingly well. He really did. Neither of the guys got the better of him. And remember, he was doing 4 rounds with both. They both knew they were doing 4 rounds. So Andre really put it on him for the first 4 rounds. So he got in there with Anthony Durrell for the round from round 5 to round 8. He held it together. He really held it together. He showed me that in those sparring sessions that he was the real deal. And that's in my mind, that proved to me more than any of his fights did. Even his Carl Froch fight, I knew from that point when I saw him competing against 2 guys who were going for him, they were really giving it to him. They had some little English guy they'd never heard of, and they were putting him on him. We said do 4 rounds of Anthony Durrell, so Anthony Durrell, then 4 rounds of Andre, then 4 rounds of Anthony. And for a guy these guys had never heard of, they're like, we're going to kill this guy. But they didn't. They really didn't. And ask these guys, they had a lot of respect for George Groves after that fight. And after that sparring session, he did it a few times as well. Probably about 4 or 5 sessions he had with these guys. Good learning experience for George. And I think that will give him a very good edge going into that fight. That he's been there, he's tasted the best around at sparring, and he's been in there with Carl Froch. So he's fought in front of a massive 80,000 crowd. He's ticked all the boxes. Obviously, but he's got that loss. He's got that 1 stoppage loss. Could have happened to anyone. Lennox Lewis got hit on the chin. He got knocked out. Same thing. It happens. One of those things. How great you are. Roberto Duran got knocked out by Tommy Hearns, and it happens. Sometimes you just get hit, and no matter how good you are, no matter what's happening in your career, you just get knocked out. That's the fun thing about boxing. You never know. These 2 guys together in a rematch as champions, I think that then we could go back to the football stadium for that.
Currently, who's the bigger draw from De Gale and Groves? Because this has been part of the reason why they didn't fight over the split and etc. etc.
I don't know all the details about the financial split between if these 2 guys fight, but I was there live.
Paper, who do you think's been?
On paper or off of paper, I've been to both of their fights, and George, I believe, in the UK has a bigger draw. He, I think, facts. He filled up at 80,000 seat Wembley Stadium. That doesn't happen. Carl Froch before that fight couldn't fill a 80,000 stadium. So George brought that to the table. As much as Carl is a massive draw, Carl and George together, it was a mega fight. So I'd say George is the bigger draw, but he's lost. if these two fought each other. I'm not sure what this purse split should be. That's none of my business. That's down to who's negotiating for both the guys. It's a fight I'd love to see. I saw the first fight. It was close. George, I believed, outmaneuvered him. This time round, who knows? It's going to be an exciting fight. I'd love to see both of these guys win world champions, bring them back to England and go to Wembley Stadium and do a big pay-per-view fight. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. They both earn great money, and they can both do it again. They've known each other. They fought each other in the amateurs. They know each other. I think George has beaten him twice, I think, as an amateur and as a professional. So it really is, really makes things really exciting.
Who wins that fight now for you?
I'll have to see. It depends on how their next fights go. You know, George's last fight he fought a very tricky southpaw in his last fight out. A guy who trains with Floyd Mayweather, and I heard in rumblings in the lead up to that fight that this guy was a lot better than people were giving him credit for, and George could get upset. He could have a hard night. He did have a little bit of a hard night, but he managed to get the job done, which is what all professionals do. Good professionals always find a way to get the job done. I'd have to see how they both get on with their next fights. Anthony Dirrell is a very aggressive fighter, likes to mix it up close. You know, Andre Dirrell is a masterclass boxer, slick boxer, long-range fighter. Two brothers fight completely differently, completely and utterly different styles. I believe it would be better for DeGale and George if they swap the brothers round. I believe DeGale does better against guys who comes at him, and I think George would do better against someone who tries to box him. So if I could control the universe, I'd swap Anthony and Andre around and have George and DeGale fight the separate brothers. So I think they'd have better chance of winning against the opposite brothers. But you know, you can't pick and choose. They've got to fight who they've got to fight. They're both world champions, so let's make it happen. I'm really excited about the super middleweight division.
As we await news about Carl Froch's next move, a fan fight that people really would love to see is Froch Golovkin. Would you be a fan of that fight?
I'll be a fan of. Yeah, I'd like to see that fight. Be interesting, that's for sure. You know, Golovkin will be giving away just 7 pounds in weight. You know, but he's a big boy. He's a big boy, a big puncher. You know, that'd be interesting. Are they talking about that fight? Is that a fight that's been talked about?
It's a fight that from Golovkin's team, they've mentioned it countless times, and you know they're willing to fight Carl Froch. They're not saying. I know Eddie. I've spoke to Eddie Earn about this before. Obviously,
if it makes money.
Yeah.
If it makes enough money, Carl will do it. One thing you can know about Carl is the ultimate warrior. He will fight anyone. He's a prize fighter, a real throwback. Putting the money on the table, I'll fight anybody. In actual fact, forget the money. He's been fighting people for peanuts for many, many years. All these great fighters, compared to what he's earning now. If you look at what he got paid for his early world title fights, you know, he's big and he's in a Super 6. He wasn't getting paid the money he's getting paid now, but he still did it. He still put it on the line. I think now is his time to start earning some cheddar now. He needs these big multi-million pound fights now. He deserves it. He's had a lot of fights for a few $100,000 here and there. Forget that. That was in the past. He's now established himself as one of the most exciting fighters on the planet. He needs to be compensated for that. So a fight, if Golovkin doesn't generate that much. He's a big name for the internal boxing fans. All of us boxers, hardened boxing fans, we love GGG, we love this guy. But he hasn't broken out there. He's not that big international superstar. You know, he doesn't do pay-per-view. Has any of his fights pay-per-view yet, Golovkin? No. I don't believe he's had any in America.
I think this is what Eddie Earn said about the Froch Golovkin. HBO said it's not pay-per-view.
I don't believe it is a pay-per-view fight. But him versus Chavez Jr., that's a pay-per-view event. Chavez is a pay-per-view fighter in America. You know, I think you get having some catch-weight fights. So maybe how about him and what was it? Was Canelo? Was he a middleweight?
Canelo's a light middleweight.
Even a fight like that. I'd like to see that fight. If Carl, I know Carl's not that big in terms of he's around 12 stone. If he used to come down to 11.5 stone and Canelo was to go up to 12.5 stone, a catch fight Canelo and I'd pay to see that, and that would be pay-per-view. Froch, I know, will take that fight. You know, there's some good big money fight. It doesn't the titles don't mean anything at this stage in Carl's career. Carl's won all the titles he'll ever need to win. He doesn't need the titles. He's a brand in his own right, and he should be being compensated off merit. He doesn't need a title to say, okay, I want X amount because I got this title. No, he's already champion. People recognise him as one of the best on the planet. So it's time for him to start having these fun fights that the fans want to see. Maybe Golovkin, great fighter. Until his pay-per-view, if I was Carl, I'd say, wait until he's pay-per-view fighter. Who's the best fighter that Golovkin's fought so far, would you say?
Well, on paper, as in not name-wise, but round-wise, it's actually Martin Murray, isn't it? He's the longest anyone's gone with him, 11 rounds. Yeah. Probably name-wise.
Great. I watched that fight, and he showed that he was a fantastic fighter. But Murray, as great as he is, as much of a warrior as he is, you can't compare him to the opponents that Carl Froch has fought for his last 15 fights. You can't compare that. So maybe when Golovkin's gone up in weight, maybe, or beaten some more world champions, then I think it would be and he's a pay-per-view fighter, then it would be economically viable for Carl to do it. I wouldn't advise him at this stage in his career, when he's had so many hard fights, why just have another hard fight for no reward? You know, he's got to look at his kids and his children's to financially look after himself. Why put yourself in a position where you're gonna have a hard? No one's gonna have an easy fight against Golovkin. Why you can get killed in the ring, you get brain damage. Why put that risk out there if the rewards don't match up? So I'd say look for the biggest possible fun fight for Carl that makes him the most amount of money. He's had the fans have got their money's worth out of Carl Froch. No boxing fan can say they didn't get their money's worth out of Carl. He's been there, he's fought everybody who was to fight around his weight, travelled abroad. It's time for him to start cashing in. It's time for him to start earning the money he deserves.
David, you were recently at Carl Frampton's fight with Chris Avalos. Very impressive performance. A fight that the whole of the British public want to see. England, Ireland, wherever, is Quigg Frampton. Yeah. Again, are you a fan of this fight?
Big time. I think it's a fight that makes perfect sense. I think both fighters have proven that they're ready for this fight, and the British public want it. You know, it'll make money. He'll make big money, no matter where that fight is, whether it's in Belfast, whether the fight's in Manchester, wherever. It'll be a huge fight, and I think people pay good money to see that fight. Both guys in their physical prime. They're both amazing athletes. They're both very, very, very good at what they do. So let's make it happen. It'll be a great fight.
Again, I'm going to ask you, who do you think is the bigger draw at the moment out of the two of them?
I was there when Frampton defended against Avalos, and it felt like a big fight. You know, Avalos is no big name, but you'd never know that kind of. It felt like it was a big mega fight. You know, it's only, I think it's a 10,000 arena, the Odyssey Arena, but the fans were so passionate. You know, I'd say, you know, I haven't been to too many Quigg fights live, so it feels like Frampton's the bigger draw for me because I've only been to Frampton's fights. But wherever that fight will be, it'll be big. I know Quigg's got a big fan base himself, so I just want to get that. These are the type of fights that need to happen. You know, unification fights. You know, I definitely think after watching Frampton dispatch of Avalos the way he did, that, you know, he's the front runner for me in a division. You know, if Quigg had that type of performance against a fighter as good as Avalos, I'll be then saying Quigg is, but Quigg hasn't fought that level and had that type of success with someone like that so far. Doesn't mean he can't. He might have done it even quicker. You never know. That's why it's good to get these guys both in the ring with each other and to figure out who's the number one in Britain.
Brook Khan, another huge domestic fight. Brook obviously is the IBF welterweight champion. Amir Khan was chasing a fight with Floyd for so long that didn't materialise. But this is a fight that needs to happen, David.
Yeah, everyone's talking about it. At first, I genuinely thought Khan had bigger fish to fry. He was talking about Mayweather, and obviously Mayweather versus Khan would be huge. So I understand why he put everything on the sidelines for forget everything else. Brook, what you ever done? I'm fighting Mayweather. That fight's not happening now. And I think Pacquiao and Floyd have got a 2-fight deal, right? I mean, they've got 2 fights. They're signed for 2 fights, though, anyway. So that fight's not going to happen till next year, even if it does happen with Pacquiao, with Mayweather, or the winner of Pacquiao Mayweather. So if it's a fight, if the money's right, make the fight. Simple. It's if they both want the fight, if it makes financial sense for both of them, yeah, make the fight. Who else is there for Brook or Khan to fight that would cause as much excitement?
Well, potential opponents being touted for Brook is people like Marquez, Brandon Rios, but ahead of all these fighters, I don't think there's anyone in British boxing that wouldn't want to see the Khan fight ahead of it.
Khan is the bigger draw, without a doubt. He's had the history. He's been a world champion many times, multiple weights. Brook is young. He's fresh. No real miles on the clock. I've never seen him. He's never been knocked out. I've never seen him in real bad trouble. But Khan seems to be just getting better and better. Although Khan's had his setbacks, he seems to have learnt from his setbacks. And he just seemed to come from strength to strength to strength, and he's getting better. So I think it makes sense. I think it's a fight I'd like to see. Khan, I think, would be a big favourite going into that fight. Although Brook hasn't lost, I believe Khan will be a big favourite going into that fight because he's fought at a higher level for so much longer, So, but once again, it's a fight that the fans need to see. So, but British boxing, I think, is in a really good state. We've got fights that can happen now, and we have fights that could happen if fighters win titles. And it's all about the unification fights, big world title fights in Britain. I can't remember another time we've had so many like this. It's been really, really good times.
I will just sort of end. I know we spoke about Mayweather Pacquiao for BoxNation recently. Who are you backing for this fight, David? Just.
I've been a fan of both fighters for many, many years. I watch Mayweather fights as inspiration, as to learn. I watch Mayweather fights to look at his strategy, look at his footwork, his reaction times. It's like watching a genius. It's like it's watching a genius at work. You think if you're into sprinting, you're like Usain Bolt. Mayweather's like Usain Bolt, and no one else can come close to him. They're just physically incapable, no matter what they try and what a strategy anyone has against Usain Bolt to beat him. He's just faster than everyone else, so it's irrelevant. No matter what anyone does, it doesn't matter. You could formulate the best strategy against Usain Bolt. You physically can't run as fast as him, so you're always going to lose. And Mayweather just seems like he's physically superior to everybody else. If you put time in, speed, reaction time, punch resistance, have a chart of all of the different things, have him and Pacquiao, right, chin. You can't question who's got a better chin. Mayweather. He's been hit on the button with a big shot from Shane Mosley. He didn't go down. He was hurt. He held on, weathered the storm, and shut him out of the fight. Pacquiao's been dropped multiple times. He's been knocked out clean recently. You can't compare that. Speed, both very fast, but I've never seen anyone as fast as Mayweather. Punch evasion, defense, you has to go with Mayweather. When was the last time you seen Mayweather take 10 full-blown punches in his face in one fight? Never happens. Pacquiao gets his head punched in constantly. Aggression, you'd have to go with Pacquiao. Maybe spirit and heart, maybe you could kind of go with Pacquiao. But Mayweather never needs to show heart because he's so good and doesn't get beaten up. So if there's a tally, if it was a computer game, you looked at all of the strengths, Mayweather would have so many more strengths. He's got size, he's got, maybe punch power, you'd have to go with Pacquiao. But when you say backing, I just want to go there and watch a great fight. I don't want to back one person or another person. I like both fighters. I think they're both all-time greats. I just want to sit down and enjoy, hopefully, one of the greatest fights ever. If there's anybody in the world who could give Mayweather a hard night, it's I think there's 2 people on the planet who can. It's Amir Khan. Everyone's going to laugh though, but Amir Khan, I think he has the style to give Mayweather problems, and Manny Pacquiao. If the Manny Pacquiao that turned up against Miguel Cotto, he's got a shot. I don't know how big that shot is, but you look at similar opponents, Pacquiao normally does better and stops opponents that Mayweather doesn't. Doesn't mean he's a better fighter, it just means he takes more risks and he puts himself on the line more to get the knockout. But by doing that, he risks getting knocked out himself, which has happened a few times. So I think the smart money is on someone who's never ever lost versus someone who's been knocked out recently and lost on points recently. So if you put these two together, you know, is Floyd Mayweather better than Marquez, who knocked out Pacquiao? What would you say?
He's Floyd Mayweather better than Marquez, yes.
So if Marquez can knock out Mayweather, why can't Mayweather knock out Pacquiao? Sorry, so if Marquez can knock out Pacquiao, why can't Mayweather do that? Boxing doesn't work like that. You can't say just because A beat B, then that means C can beat. It doesn't work that way. But it's a guide. It's a guide that kind of works sometimes. Someone who's never ever lost or never come close to losing, really, you can't really go against that if you're a betting man. If you want to earn some money, bet on Mayweather by stoppage. Sorry, Pacquiao by stoppage. But I don't see these two fighters stopping each other. It's going to be a points decision, and I believe Mayweather will probably win this fight. If to know what happens in the future, look in the past, Mayweather's never lost. If you've got a sportsman, a football team that's never ever lost versus a team that got beat a few times recently, you're going to go with someone who's never lost. Go with the current form.
Okay, well, May the 2nd, we shall find out. Do you still talk to Adam?
Haven't done for a while.
Keeping tabs, obviously he's done well with Andy Lee, hasn't he?
Fantastic. Andy Lee went out there, put it on the line, took a fight that most people, he was a massive underdog for that fight. What's the guy's name? I forgot the guy's name.
Matt Korobov.
Matt Korobov. Very good fight, unbeaten. He went out there and just smashed him in good style. And Americans are really, you know, I had a lot of calls from America. America very, very impressed with the way he did that. All of a sudden, just switched it the same way when he fought Jackson. He was having a bout. He got knocked down, and he pulled out that Hail Mary, boom, big right hook on the button. It's not luck. You can't knock two very good, unbeaten fighters out like that with luck. No, there's no luck there whatsoever. That is good strategy, good training, good focus, good living, and the cream always rises to the top. Now he's got Quillin. This guy ain't no joke. So now he's fighting another unbeaten guy. He's fought two unbeaten guys and knocked them both out. Now he's got another one. Once again, he's going to be the underdog. Lee's going to be underdog going in against Quillin. You know, are you going to bet against the guy who's beaten these unbeaten guys going by current form? You know, Quillin vacated his title recently when he was due. Was he due to fight? He was due to fight.
He was going to fight Korobov.
Yeah, and he relinquished his title. Why did that? I don't know. But it sets up an even bigger fight now with him and Lee. So I think the purse bid was quite big for that fight. So Lee gets a nice chunk of cash. Fantastic. That's what it's all about, and he deserves that. You know, I think he got $1 million or something like that. $1.5 million. Great, fantastic. He deserves it. He deserves every penny of that money because I know how hard he works, and he's grafted for that. You know, behind closed doors, and he's put the work in, and he's getting his rewards. And you never know. Fighting another unbeaten slickster, Quillin, looks good, fights good. And I've met him a few times. Nice guy, fantastic fight, and hopefully that generates a big fight. Hopefully these guys can fight each other a couple of times, and everyone can earn loads of money. And you know, but it's a good. As I said, Britain is in a great situation. Great situation. Great. We've got some great fighters here. So Lee's been doing the right thing. So you know, fingers crossed.
All right. Well, listen, you've given me more than I did
It's
originally.
about an hour's worth here. It's about an hour's worth. People are going to switch off.
No,
you got
you don't get it.
You got to chop it down to 10 minutes.
The longer it is, the more they watch. I know the stats. Dave, I'm the YouTube king.
If you put a half-hour video on, how many people will watch? Do you find
I can tell how many people have watched over a certain percentage of the video.
Are you serious?
Yeah. YouTube stats, baby.
I guarantee people switch off halfway off this one. Guarantee. People are like, oh, David's waffling again. And I'll chat that guy. I do have a problem with talking. I've got verbal diarrhea. I've been told it. People say, right, just keep this within 4 minutes. I'll go on for like 45 minutes. I've got a problem.
Longer with Haye, the better.
Yeah.
So someone said one.
Who was that?
All right, and so last thing we'll say to you is, ain't no stopping. Will we hear that this year?
I really, truly hope so. I want to hear it more than anyone else wants to hear it, believe me. Although there are people out there going, when are you going to fight? I want it as much as anybody else wants it. But when I do it, it's got to be right. It's got to be smooth sailing. I've got to be physically perfect. I can't be getting injured again. That's the thing of the past. So I'm just smoothing over with fixing, instead of just fixing the cracks now, but just filling the cracks. I'm building a foundation so I can build a real great world title run and success on.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much for giving IFL TV most of your day today.
I know. I've been talking. I'd love to know how long. I bet this is about an hour. It's about an hour, right?
I'll find out after.
You've got to chop it down.
We don't chop things in. We put things in raw, David. We've been through this before.
It's embarrassing. Anyway, it's good seeing you.
You too.
I'd have to say, congratulations. Whatever you're doing physically, it seems to be working. You're looking in fantastic shape. Yeah. Used to be, no disrespect, but you was rather big-boned, as they say. But you've even your face is slimmed down, more kind of a fish type of face. But it suits you. It looks good. It's good. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Live healthy, eat clean. You are what you eat. You look like you're eating a little bit more healthy.
Going to the gym now, so that's yeah.
Remember, gym.
Big up David Lloyd, by the way.
Which one do you train at?
One in Essex.
Oh, cool. You got a personal trainer or?
No, I'm not using a personal trainer yet because I watch them round the other people and I kind of think.
Do one a week. Just get a guy once a week, guy or a girl, once a week to just do a session with you, just to keep you on, just to tell them what you've been doing, and maybe they might just need to adjust it. A lot of people go to gym and do the same thing every day, and your body becomes accustomed to doing it, so you become economical at doing a certain exercise. Sometimes you need a trainer come in, shake things up a little bit, and mix things up, different muscle groups, different reps, different weights. You need to change it up, switch it up. So get a trainer to come in once a week. Won't cost a lot. 50 quid or whatever it is, but trust me, it'll be worth it. Or once a month or something, just to change up your program. You need to keep switching it up. Always change what you're doing.
Okay, thank you very much for the advice. If you've wondered through this interview why I keep looking at the screen, it's just I'm just checking it hasn't timed out. That's why I keep looking. I'm not a paranoid freak or anything. I'm just letting you aware of that. All right, David Haye, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Best of luck in whatever is you're doing today and the rest of your life, and I sincerely hope to see you in the ring soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Congratulations. Also, I was there with your first BoxNation, CASSIUS and Helden situation.
Still running now.
Still running. So how long has that been like?
6 months.
6 months.
Maybe longer actually. September. 6-7 months. Yeah.
Congratulations. It seems like you're onto a good thing here. Getting all the exclusives, getting all the info off all the people that matter. It's good.
Just played yourself a compliment in that as well.
Yeah, I know. I see what I like that you noticed that.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS with David Haye for IFL TV. Thank you very much for watching. If you're brave enough to watch the whole.
No one's going to see this. No one's going to see this. I guarantee you, there's not going to be one per. Okay, yeah. No one's. Okay, if anyone
you watch the end of this, tweet David.
If you've watched the end of this, write fish tank as a comment, just so we know.
Tag me and David in fish tank.
Just say fish tank. Random, the word. I don't know where that came from.
Whoever's watched the end of this, great idea.
Yeah, so I could then see. I get fish tank. Okay, 6 people watched it. No one's going to watch this. It's too long. Me waffling about rubbishness.
Thank you very much for watching. Speak to you soon.